Let me ask you something. Right now, how much money do you owe? Credit cards, student loans, car payments, buy now, pay later schemes. Here's a test. Think about the last 5 major purchases you made or saw advertised recently. How many of them were sold to you without ever talking about the real price? Just $2.99 a month, 0% financing, buy now, pay later. We don't even talk about prices anymore. We talk about payments. That's not normal. That's conditioning. It's repetition, over and over, until borrowing feels automatic and paying later feels harmless. One of these debts might actually be helping you. The other? It's quietly destroying your financial future, and most people can't tell the difference. The average American household now carries over $100,000 in debt. But here's what nobody tells you. There are actually 2 types of debt. Let's break this down, because not all debt works the same way. Some of it builds your future, and some of it quietly eats it alive. Imagine your finances are like your body. Think about what you're feeding it every day, because what goes in determines what comes out. Would you fuel your body with nothing but sugar and caffeine? Quick energy? Sure, but no real nutrition. That new living room furniture you put on your credit card? That's a sugar rush. Feels good, but doesn't last. That's exactly what bad debt is. Consumer debt used to buy things you can't actually afford. The car you financed way beyond your budget? That's a caffeine high. Fast, exciting, but temporary. That vacation you put on a credit card, and you're still paying off 6 months later? That's pure junk food for your wallet. And here's the thing about sugar rushes. They feel amazing for about 5 minutes. You get that hit the moment you buy. But then reality sets in. The interest starts piling up. The bills keep coming, long after the excitement fades. When you swipe the card, when the package arrives, when you drive off the lot, that rush feels real, immediate, powerful. The minimum payments barely touch the principal. You keep paying, but the balance hardly moves. And suddenly, that $2,000 couch turns into $3,500 after interest over time. Bad debt is any borrowing used for things that lose value or provide no long-term benefit. And we've normalized it to an insane degree. Borrowing for consumption isn't rare anymore. It's expected. It's spending money you don't have on things that won't make you money in return. But wait, if that's bad debt, then what exactly is good debt? Is there such a thing? Good debt is like eating fruits and vegetables. It might not feel exciting, but it actually builds your future strength. Student loans that lead to higher income, mortgages that build equity, business loans that generate cash flow. But here's where people get confused. Just because debt can be good doesn't mean all of it is. These aren't just purchases. They're investments. They have the potential to give you back more than they cost. You can gorge yourself on too much good food and still end up financially sick. Too much debt is still too much. Take out $200,000 in student loans for a degree that pays $35,000 a year? That's not good debt. That's just expensive bad debt wearing a graduation cap. The label doesn't change the reality.
If yes, it might be good debt. If no, it's bad debt. Period.
The difference is actually simple. Does this debt create more value than it costs? If yes, it might be good debt. If no, it's bad debt. Period. Let me show you something that will probably make you uncomfortable. Because the math behind debt isn't emotional. It's brutal. Let's say you have $5,000 sitting in savings, earning maybe 4% interest. Most people keep both accounts running. Savings on one side, credit card debt on the other. At the same time, you've got $5,000 sitting on a credit card, charging you 12% interest. Most people keep both accounts running. Savings on one side, credit card debt on the other. They think, I need my emergency savings. I'll pay off the credit card. Eventually. It feels responsible. But here's the math they're ignoring. The numbers don't cancel out. They work against you. Your savings, earning you maybe $200 a year, at best. That credit card is costing you $600 a year just in interest alone. You're literally losing $400 every single year by keeping both accounts active. Paying off that credit card is like finding an investment with a guaranteed 12% return. Completely tax-free. No risk, no volatility, just guaranteed savings from interest you're no longer paying. You'd need something earning around 18% to match the impact of paying off that debt. To match that through investing, you'd need returns far higher than most people ever achieve. Good luck finding that without taking on massive risk. High returns almost always come with high danger. People build this mental wall between their savings and their debt, as if they're unrelated. But your money doesn't care where it sits. Savings or debt, it's all connected. And every dollar sitting in savings while you carry high interest debt is a dollar working against you. A dollar is a dollar. It doesn't matter which account you keep it in. It still works for or against you. Now, I'm not saying drain your emergency fund completely. You still need a safety cushion. Life happens. Unexpected car repairs, medical bills, home emergencies. You need a buffer for reality. But if you've got money earning 2% while you're paying 15% on debt, that's not security. That's inefficiency. That's not caution. That's not strategy. That's being financially asleep, and it's costing you every year. That's not being financially responsible. That's not caution. That's misallocation of your resources. Here's another uncomfortable truth. Even if you think you're a great investor, this still applies to you. Even if you think you can beat 12% returns consistently year after year, you should still pay off your debt first, because eliminating interest beats chasing returns. Sure, maybe you'll hit it big. Maybe one investment will skyrocket and outperform your debt. because chasing higher returns means taking on higher risk. And risk cuts both ways. But probably not. Most people don't beat the market, and they definitely don't do it consistently. And even if you do, even if your investments perform well, that still doesn't change the equation. But was it worth the stress, the uncertainty, the gamble, when a guaranteed return was sitting right there? You know that feeling? When you reach into an old jacket and find money you forgot you had? The math is simple, but the psychology, that's the hard part. And that's why most people stay stuck. We're about to do that exact same thing with your finances, because you might have more money available than you realize. Most people think, I don't have any extra money to pay down debt. That's the default belief. But they haven't actually looked. They haven't checked every corner, every pocket, every resource. First, cash value life insurance. If you've ever been sold a whole life policy via BI-aid, you might have cash sitting inside it. Here are some financial jacket pockets you might have forgotten about. Places where money could already exist. You can borrow against that cash value and use it to knock out high-interest debt faster. Or better yet, cash out the policy entirely and use the money to accelerate your debt payoff. These policies were often sold because they pay huge commissions to agents, not because they're optimal for you. Consider cashing some of them in and using the proceeds to pay down high-interest debt faster. Second, investments outside, retirement accounts, stocks, bonds, shares you forgot you even owned. Yes, you might owe some taxes on the gains. That part is unavoidable. But run the numbers. Paying some taxes on investment gains might still be cheaper than paying interest for years, because capital gains tax is still usually lower than the interest you're paying on consumer debt every year. The difference between what your home is worth and what you still owe, that gap is your equity. Third, and this one's big, home equity. If you own a home, you might be sitting on a pile of cash, and you can borrow against that equity, usually at far lower interest rates than credit cards. But be careful. This strategy comes with risk, because now you're tying your house to the debt. Fourth, your retirement account at work. Many employers allow you to borrow against it. Overborrow and you could lose your home. Don't trade credit card debt for foreclosure risk. The interest rate is usually reasonable, often far lower than credit cards, making it a cheaper borrowing option. And you're technically paying interest to yourself. The money you borrow eventually flows back into your fund. But there's a catch, and it's an important one. Borrowing from retirement comes with serious conditions. If you leave your job or get laid off, that retirement loan doesn't stay flexible for long. And you're technically paying interest to yourself. The money you borrow eventually flows back into your fund. You often have to repay it quickly, sometimes within just a few months. Or face taxes and penalties on the remaining balance, turning a loan into a costly mistake. So this is a tool to use carefully. Not a first option, but a strategic one when used responsibly.
And fifth, friends and family. People who know you, who trust you, and might be willing to help.
And while that money is borrowed, it's not invested, it's not compounding, it's not growing for your future. I know borrowing from loved ones can get messy. Money has a way of complicating relationships. But the reality is, they'll likely offer far better terms and lower interest rates than any bank ever would. The key is treating it seriously. Write an agreement, set clear terms, and honor it like any real loan.
The point is this: you might have more resources than you think. You just need to look in the right places.
But what if you're starting from zero? No savings, no assets, just debt. First, you have to stop the bleeding. If debt is growing faster than income, nothing else matters. If you're spending more than you earn, you're not just stuck. You're sinking deeper every month. You either spend less or earn more. Ideally both, but even one can change your trajectory. Let's talk about credit card interest rates. Because not all cards charge the same, and that difference matters. So why are you paying 18% when someone else might offer you 12 or even less? The credit card industry is incredibly competitive. They want your balance, your payments, and your business. You can transfer your balance from a high-interest card to one offering lower rates, saving money immediately. If you consistently live beyond your means, cut the cards completely. Remove the temptation at the root.
Living without credit is possible. You spend what you have, save for what you want, and build wealth instead of debt.
Debt might be normal, but you don't have to be. You have choices, resources, and control. Now go, get debt-free.